Okay, so I'm Lou Martin. My channel is called Awaken Spirits Network. It is my stone cold joy today to be with my dear friend and a wonderful teacher who's made a huge difference in my life. My dear friend Mia Sera Williams is how I know you. Yeah, is that close?
That's good. That's fine.
Brilliant. And just very briefly, Mia and I have known each other for years, and we're both celebrating here before we got on this year. I've been on her class in the Course in Miracles, the daily study group that she runs absolutely amazingly. And it's my fourth go round with the course, but it's my first time doing the workbook daily. And between Mia's great wisdom and experience, courage and vulnerability, and the great group that she's attracted there that I'm blessed to be a part of, it's just been a life changer. So, Mia, thank you for your time here today.
Oh, thank you, Lou, so much. I'm so grateful that you're having me here and just to have this opportunity to share time and space with you. Cool.
Thank, thank you. Well, let's tell people a little bit about your own spiritual journey, if you wouldn't mind, just so, and then we can get into the course. How does that sound?
Yeah, sure.
One
Um,
more time.
yeah,
Yeah.
one more time. Uh, well, I always express gratitude for being raised a Catholic, despite having reservations more and more as I got older. But the foundation was lovely. Um, I didn't have difficulty embracing, Jesus and Mary and all the wonderful biblical stories. Um, as a young child, I had a fascination with two women. One was Salome,
Okay.
and the other was Mary Magdalene.
Right.
I think the Salome piece was I was fascinated that this woman had the power to dance so beautifully that she could have whatever she wanted at the end of the dance. And I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and I was fascinated by Mary Magdalene just because of her proximity to Jesus, getting to wash his feet and his tender kind of loving care of her. At least that's what I picked up from. I mean, the stories were so brief, but
Yes.
yeah. Um, I definitely wanted to have a spiritual experience. I saw the movie about Saint Bernadette. I can't remember the name, but I
Well,
love,
for debt.
yeah, I was just longing, for Mary to appear to me, and I would spend long periods of time, in fact, sitting in the church, hoping that she would. She
Wow.
never did.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Um, and I think really I stayed probably with my own private prayers and my own relationship with Jesus right up until in my 20s. I mean, I'd stopped going to mass and stuff like that somewhere along the way, but
Yeah.
um, and then I lost that. I just disconnected. I was kind of very caught up in a painful journey,
Hmm.
trying to, resolve pain and
Yeah.
using alcohol, sex, drugs, whatever whatever was available that could distract me from the pain. I
I never
used.
heard of that before. You're the
Have
first.
you heard that? I know it's wild, isn't it?
Got me there.
Um,
Yes, I raised my hand, of course. Yes. All the above.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, found myself in a 12-step program eventually, and the idea of a higher power, I didn't know what it was I was looking for even anymore. It was almost like I'd forgotten that relationship that I'd had with Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's slowly yeah, it slowly returned, slowly but surely, and things just kept falling into place for me, and miracles kept happening, small little things like, but they were, some of them were unexplainable, other than that the hand of God was with me.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I started to explore. I think the first time I ever chanted
Hmm.
a mantra, I was so transported and so to a place of absolute love that really now I know was inside me. It felt like I was transported somewhere else, but I was actually transported home.
Right.
And so I started looking into yoga, bhakti yoga, physical. doing yoga, training as a yoga teacher, lots of other different trainings. And so my spiritual route took on that sort of, I suppose, a real interest in Hinduism and a sort of a resonance with a lot of what I was learning through Hinduism and through Kundalini was the path I chose first, and then I trained in other forms of yoga as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for all of that. I mean, that's, again, we've known each other for a while, but I'm still, of course, getting to know you, in this personal way in terms of your own story and journey, which is fascinating to me. What I want to also include here is, that your family was extremely spiritual in their own way, extremely generous, community oriented. Can you say, I know I say a little,
Yeah.
because that to me
Yeah.
is special.
Yeah, so my mom and dad were quite extraordinary. Very strict Catholics, which was challenging, but at the same time, like, really Christian, like just really beautiful. Our home was open,
Yeah.
and everybody and anybody could come and stay there, and they did.
Yes.
You know, they did. You wouldn't know who you'd meet when you'd come downstairs, or you wouldn't know who you'd meet when you'd go upstairs. It was like
Right.
those people coming to stay. And my dad in particular, my dad had a lovely, well, a real soft spot or a love for the traveling community of Ireland. And so often he would bring people in as well for cups of tea and chats, and or he might even just stand at the door for a few hours chatting to somebody. I think the thing that stands out most about my mom was when people would come over, we lived beside a hospital. And
Oh,
when people would come over from India or Pakistan to train in the hospital, my mother always had this knowing in her that these women were lonely and that they were leaving their community to come here.
hmm,
And so she would do her best to involve them as much as possible
hmm.
mostly in our own family. Like, so we'd mind the children, or she'd have them down for dinner, or we'd go up to their house, but it was a real awareness that she had,
Yeah. Yeah.
around supporting families and women.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
again, I just feel like that was such an extraordinary, conscious environment to grow up in. And it's, I know it's made you the teacher that I'm blessed to have in my life here, my friend, because, that worldliness and that sense of community and that sense of, uh, one big human family, one big, happy family, striving for that and practicing that, and just all of the caring that you would have been required to do, and reaching out of your comfort zone and being adaptable and looking after kids, and next to the hospital with the caregivers there who must have been going through quite some heavy times with things. That's you can't that's dropped into the deep end of the pool, I'd say. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I didn't think anything of it, I suppose, because it was just normal and natural, and it was just what happened. But yeah, it's only now I'm beginning to see the real influence that it had on me.
Right.
Um,
Right. How do you
and
see that when you say that? How does that come up for you now?
yeah, it's warm. It's nice and it's warm, and I'm very grateful.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because, often we focus on what we're not grateful for, or what was difficult in our childhoods. And, mine wasn't by any means plain sailing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have so much to be grateful for.
Hmm.
And I was very heavily influenced by my parents and their way of being. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I see that now. Yeah, I can
Right.
appreciate it now.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm happy to hear more about any of that, but maybe you'd like to bring it a little towards the course now, if that feels right. How the course came into life, etc.
Yeah, the funny thing is I can't remember getting my first book,
Hmm.
but I
Okay.
can remember hearing Course in Miracles, Course in Miracles. Every time I heard it, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that.
Hmm.
And eventually I found somebody that actually did know a little bit about it and had done a round of, I think, the workbook lessons. And but he said he wasn't interested in doing it anymore.
Mm.
But he gave me a number of a guy who possibly could, because I thought I needed to, I didn't know what it was, and all I knew was I wanted to do it. So he gave me somebody else's number, and I contacted that guy, and he said, "Oh, I left the group." He said that, he said it was crazy. One day somebody put their book on the ground and everybody killed him over it and da da da. And he said, so it's all too strict and it's all too crazy. So he said, I'm not doing that anymore. So I was like, okay, I'll just have to figure this one out on my own. But of course, like everything else, as soon as you're ready, teachers appear. And so I was introduced to a group of women through Amma, actually. They were devotees of Amma, and I went to a kirtan one night. And they started talking about A Course in Miracles, and I was like, I've wanted to do this for so long. And they were students,
Yeah. Yeah.
self-study students, and we formed, I think that was the beginning. Do you know, I can't really remember, Lou, but we formed a group, certainly. No, actually, Clive and I did a round of it first.
Oh, wow.
I'd been dipping in and out at that stage after meeting them, and I was reading bits. And as you know, it's not the easiest book in the world.
No.
Um, and then Clive and I met, and at that stage, I was reading passages every day myself. That was my practice. I was reading passages from it, and there was something about it that was so attractive to me, even though I didn't really understand it.
Sure.
I felt such comfort, and I still do. Every time I open that book, I feel a sense of peace and a sense of comfort.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah, there's just something. It's like
Yeah.
a soft pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah, to land your head on.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I started talking about Clive. For those of you who might be watching this, Clive is my husband, hand chosen by God a few years back.
A lucky man and a lovely man, Mia. Yeah.
A lovely man. So yeah, Clive and I did a round together, a full year. We sat up in bed every morning and we would do our workbook lesson. And during that time, I came across Maureen Muldoon, who had videos up on YouTube. And so
My other favorite Course in Miracles teacher.
other person, yeah, favorite teacher. So I think I'd reached out to her, or we became friends on Facebook, or I commented on a video. I don't know, but anyway, we connected and stayed in touch on and off over COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, by the time Maureen invited me to come and speak on Speakeasy and teach the Course in Miracles on her calls. But by the time that happened, I had put the book away. I hadn't opened it for a year.
Wow.
And I did not feel worthy. I was like, I can't come and teach once a week on a call. And it was just at one day a week she wanted me to teach. And she said, of course you can. It's not you, it's the Holy Spirit that'll be teaching. So,
Yeah, more good at taking no for an answer is my experience,
Yeah. And it was sort of, well, there you go, straight away. I could see ego is saying, I can't do it.
Mm.
Spirit's just saying, let me use you.
Yeah.
And
it's the paradox right there. Yeah.
yeah. So I did about 6 months maybe of calls with Maureen, but during that time I decided to start my own call. Well, again, message from Spirit saying, start doing this in Ireland.
Right.
In the mornings, and it felt like such a big commitment. I was like, for a whole year, getting up every morning.
Yes, dear.
And doing this. And Spirit said, yeah, you're going to do it.
Mm. Mm.
So I started on the 22nd of July, 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're going into the 5th year this year when we begin on the 22nd of July.
I see. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up every morning.
Bless your heart.
Doing the Course in Miracles.
Well, we had a great session today. I know we're all very grateful for this course,
Yeah.
commitment.
It's changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't really have an explanation for that. Other than it sits very well. Yeah, it sits very well with other teachings that I would subscribe to,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
it,
the truth is the truth, as we say, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it just feels right, and the language becomes more and more beautiful,
Mm.
and the messages become more and more apparent,
Mhm.
and the cherry on top is community.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's that I'm not doing it on my own anymore. I'm not trying to figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
I don't have to gather people in a house or a physical space. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for Zoom, even though it's so beautiful when we can physically get together. I'm not knocking that, but I'm so grateful for Zoom.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's one of God's greatest gifts.
I I quite agree. Yeah. We used to have to get dressed. Now we just, you know, put on our slippers and get a coffee and roll up to the screen.
Shuffle up to the screen.
Yes. Crawl up to the altar, as I like to say. Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, you know, what's coming to my mind, I mean, this is just a joy for me, and it's really divine timing. You know, that today was the day that it worked out for both of us to have this chat at last. But recently you brought out, was it the concordance? It was a longer version of the course with dialogue between Helen and Jesus. I'm
Oh, the circle of atonement.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to pull that out, but I'm just
Here
wanting to,
beside me if you want to look at it though.
well, that's fine. That's great. Oh, that's, there you go. Okay.
Very fat.
Yes, that's the extended version. So it's say the title again. How did you say it?
So it's still A Course in Miracles based
Yes,
on the original handwritten notes of Helen Schuckman, complete and annotated edition. So yeah,
Circle of Atonement.
Circle of Atonement. So
Right.
it's got it's got a good extra chunk in it.
Yes, yes, about a third more than the normal version.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right, here's my pitch to you now. Tell people who've never heard the term Course in Miracles before what we're talking about.
Ooh.
Yes, there. Yes, yes. You can use any teaching tools nearby if that's helpful. You know, but just you know because I want
Beyond the spot, sir.
well
No,
I'm you know I'm doing my best to you know
absolutely.
gaff
No,
you, but yeah.
yeah. So A Course in Miracles was a channeled book. So Helen Schuckman was a psychologist in, help me, Lou, which university?
Just fine. I just here's what I want to say. Let me back up for a second and give you a chance to catch your breath about all this. So you know, so as Mia is saying, the Course in Miracles is a channeled book. It took about 7 years for Helen to channel it, and she narrated it to William Thetford, who was the scribe. He wrote it out, and it was eventually published in 1975, 76, right in there. That was the year I graduated high school, so that was
Wow.
yes, yes, and it's 1,000 pages, 1,300, I think is what I added it up to, between the text, the workbook, and the manual for teachers. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
All right, and so then the other part of it is what you know what was exciting for me when you brought this extended tome up is she really is giving us the dialogue between herself and Jesus about learning the course, practicing the course, channeling it, all of that. So I mean, it was like you know drawing the curtain back and getting to see like backstage in the production, like oh this is the backstory of all this.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I haven't read it. I haven't really got into it. I did read it when I got it first, some of it, and then I passed that copy on to somebody else. I think I shared that with you. And so I was without it for quite a while, and I've got only got it back recently.
Yes.
I think for me, one of the things I love about the story, I suppose, of the Course in Miracles coming about was that there was a lot of discomfort in the community that Helen and Bill were working in, or William
Yes.
Bedford. And, they didn't like one another at
Oh,
all. They didn't get on.
no, I didn't hear that part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really even get on.
Okay.
but they both knew that something had to be sorted out. And so a conversation was had, and basically, Helen said, or Bill said, I can't even remember which one of them said it, but somebody said there has to be a better way. Like there just has to be a better way
Yes.
of working together than this.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody,
Yeah.
things were sort of falling apart. Um, and so the better way is the Course in Miracles.
Exactly.
Like that's what started, she started to have dreams, and she knew they weren't ordinary dreams.
Yes.
And the other lovely piece I love is that she was Jewish and atheist. So she
Yes.
was born Jewish and she was atheist, and Jesus is chatting away to her,
Yes.
in
Yes.
dreams.
Yeah.
And so what we gather from, I don't know if you've watched the documentary, there's a documentary on Netflix,
I've seen some.
not Netflix, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's about 4 hours actually altogether, but you can watch two, and I think it's in two parts.
Yeah.
But even in that, Helen is really straight talking, straight shooting, and she's quite pissed off that she's got this job, and then that it goes on for so long, and she gets breaks, and then it's like it starts again, and she's like, oh my God, more seriously, because she's exhausted,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
you know.
Very good.
But I also think that that's so beautiful because we get to see her humanity.
Yes. Yes.
And for me, the course is no good if we don't, really like bring it into our lives.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, and the muckiness and the messiness of life.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's what I strive to do. Not even strive, but that is my hope, I suppose, on the cause that I do, is that people, realize this belongs to today. It belongs to the here and now. It belongs to whatever is going on for you.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I love it. It's like I can apply it to everything in my everyday life.
Yes. Very good. I'll just add a little bit to what you've shared because that was really, really beautiful. So I think she's a medical psychiatrist at State University of New York. So it was a very academic, competitive, cutthroat, it might not be a bad word, environment where everyone was competing with each other for attention and status and power and all this kind of thing. It was like the negative ego gone crazy, basically, and with a social stamp of approval all over it. And so everyone was miserable, and is the way I heard it. Yeah. And Jesus comes to her in a dream and says, I'd like to make a deal with you, is the line that I recall. And I will help you, find the answers that you're looking for if you will do this work for me. That little bit of it there. So, just to add a little to what you're saying there, it's so I also grew up Catholic, American Irish Catholic, which is much more mellow and relaxed and negotiable, yes, than it was, I think, here in Fair Ireland, where we're chatting today, and your childhood and this kind of thing. But I also I did confirmation and catechism and First Communion and all those important things. And I there was a bishop who lays his hands on you at one point, and I remember feeling spirit come into my body, and that was the first thing that I can recall in this lifetime of connecting with spirit in this way. And then I basically my church manner was trying to make my two younger sisters laugh out loud during the service, which I was pretty good at usually. So that was entertaining for me anyway, not great for them. But at 16, it was like, okay, I think I've had enough. And then to come fast forward here, then Michael Beckwith and the Agape Church and Church of Religious Science and Unity actually in high school, which was also another wonderful chapter. But, in and out of different New Thought churches kind of thing. And then Michael's brother, Achille, did a group on the Course in Miracles weekly. That's where I started with the Course. And, yes, yes. And Achille is a lovely, lovely teacher as well, beautiful soul, as is, of course, Michael, who's just a huge inspiration in the world and just an amazing, amazing man. So anyway, all of that, but here I am with you. And then, of course, I just want to say, Mia, because I sing and play music, she connected me with Maureen Muldoon and Maureen's program, Her Service Speakeasy, which I've been on for years now, a couple times a month, usually playing and singing, which has been a huge blessing. So Mia made that happen. And I was telling her the other day, it's 4 years ago, I think, 2021, August 2021, when that started, looking at my email. So it's been quite a journey, Mia, to get to this moment here with you. And it just keeps getting better, is the truth of it.
Yeah, it really is. It's an awesome journey. And as I say, the community part is so important for me. And getting up each morning and seeing your faces, on the screen, and us all on that journey of walking each other home. I mean, it's spectacular to get to do it. And to be part then of, I suppose, a broader community. So many things have opened up for me through the Course in Miracles, and connecting in with Speakeasy is one of them. And just to say as well, if anybody does feel called to join us on A Course in Miracles, we've a new round starting on July 22nd, which is the Feast of Mary Magdalene.
Mm.
So it was specifically chosen, yeah. And
Wow.
also my dad's birthday. So
Wow.
that's why that date was chosen.
That's
Yeah, yeah. So we will be starting again. And I have recorded the 365 lessons, and they're available on YouTube. You might share the links, Lou, for that when you're sharing this.
that's right. Happy
So
to
if
do.
anybody wants to just experience the course and what it's like, but there's nothing like the live version, I will say that. There's nothing like getting out of bed, stumbling out of bed, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And talking to God and listening to God and celebrating all of this. Yeah.
yeah, and having the craft.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, and the other thing I just want to say is that like we're saying, it's the language is extremely, the course is extremely eloquent and extremely deliberate, and you're listening to the voice of Jesus basically tell you how to undo the ego and the mind and the illusion of the world, which, now everywhere I turn on YouTube, people are talking about the world as the illusion.
yeah,
It's commonplace, nearly. And as you're saying there, it it lends itself to all of us just opening up and sharing together how, we're succeeding or failing or struggling or adapting, our own sense of our own spiritual journey, and cheering each other on, which is just, as you say, the greatest gift, truly.
yeah. You know, for me, yeah, and that's where it kind of fits in with the Sanskrit. When I think of Maya as illusion, and thinking of Leela, which is God's play.
Hmm.
With the Course in Miracles, we begin to recognize over time that everything is for us. Like literally every experience we have has the potential to be for us.
That's big, big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the language piece, Lou, I also just want to pick up on, because if you've had a love affair with Jesus, when you were young, if you were a reared Catholic and knew the beauty, the nuggets, the golden nuggets that were in there, Christian or Catholic,
Yeah.
and for one reason or another chose to leave that path, then there's something of a homecoming
Mm.
for the Course in Miracles, because some of the language is familiar in some way, or the terminology, there's something about it
Hmm.
that tells you you're home.
Yes.
It's not to say that it's exclusive to, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I've also noticed about it is somehow Holy Spirit, our internal teacher, helps us to get past any blocks that we may have. So I'm often very, casual when somebody says, "Oh, well, it's all in the masculine pronoun," or "It's all this," or "It's very heavy," or it's just like, just give it a go. Just do the work. Just let them wash over you.
Yeah.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah, sure, it's all in masculine.
Right.
Which, by the way, the recordings I have done are gender neutral.
Oh, very good.
Because I did want to address that as well. I just kind of felt it was something that could be fun to address it, so I did.
Sure, honey. You reminded me. I had a girlfriend. I was looking at the course years ago, and that was the line in the sand for her. She's like, "No, no, no. All this male pronouns. No, we're not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. And I'm, as you know, Lou, I'm quite playful with the course. And if I
Yeah.
feel like changing the pronoun, or if I feel like it just being they or whatever, I'll
Yeah.
do that, whatever is moving through me on that morning.
For sure.
Um, but I did have fun doing the recordings of the 365 lessons and staying gender neutral. And it was a little bit of a challenge, but there was a lovely man called Jim Meissner. I've never met him, but he did pave the path because he's written the whole book out. He's transcribed it in,
Wow.
uh,
Yeah.
gender neutral. And so I was able to he generously allowed me to use his writing.
Very good.
So that helped. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yes. That's wonderful. You know, the deepest point for me, you know, is that Jesus and Almighty God basically looked at the condition of the world, you could say, and said, you know, they need an update. You know, they need some course corrections here, 2,000 years on after the Bible and the story and all of that. And I mean, I also think of James Twyman, who's teaching the course as well, another wonderful teacher, and who's given me so much over the years, been such an inspiration. And you know, just recently, since starting the group here with you again, is Gary Renard, and you know, Maureen had him on Speakeasy a couple times, and you know, now I've gone through and read all four of the books that are available so far, you know, and they were also a revelation.
Yeah. I mean, there's many, many wonderful teachers out there. I haven't really, you know, gone to any of them as such. I consider Maureen to be my teacher, with the course, and Marion Williamson would be the other one. And aside from, I did have a stint with a lovely teacher, Lisa Natoli. I don't know that she's still doing the course now, but Lisa had a lovely, Lisa and her husband, Bill Free, had a lovely crossover with Muji and with Rupert Spira. And so they've been doing things together. And again, that just warmed my heart.
Sure.
Um, just, yeah, the marriage of all these things. Um, as you say, truth is truth. But there's something lovely when you find something that really resonates with you and you can really lean into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah. Um, yeah. No, it's for serious students of spiritual wisdom, and you know, it asks a lot, but it promises, you know, freedom and liberation from the illusion of pain and fear and death. So it seems like
yeah,
quite a sweet deal, you know.
happy outcome is guaranteed.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we can't talk about the course without talking about forgiveness because that's the key. That's the whole, you know, premise of the course that you forgive everything
Yes.
and everyone,
Yes.
and you love everyone,
Yes.
everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, you know, I often share this on the call that, you know, Jesus asked us the same thing, and Neem Karoli Baba here behind me asked the same thing of Ram Dass, and he was aghast. He was like, "What? And come back to the United States. What do you mean, love everyone?" And he said, "That's what I'm telling you to do.
Yeah.
You know, love, serve, remember."
Yes.
And you know, he couldn't figure out how he was going to possibly do that. And the only way to do that is with forgiveness.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what the course teaches us is that we're forgiving that we ever bought into any idea other than this is Christ in front of me.
Right. Right.
Every human being I meet
Right.
is Christed, is an anointed one.
Yes. Yes.
Has that same spark of light, that same love. And sure, there may be some layers on top of it, but my job is to see past the layers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's big,
It's huge. It's huge.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But we've got a mighty force to support us because we have that same Christ inside us. You know,
Absolutely.
we are the Christed one as well. And we talk a lot about the Holy Spirit as the internal teacher that she is. And, you know, she's our guide, she's our barometer, she's the one that's, you know, pointing us in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
she's ever available 24/7.
Yeah, well, these are life-changing, revelations that you're touching on, which is so important and so brilliant. And you know, th that we, that we have that I'm part of a community with you, with the group in Ireland and Speakeasy in the States, and the wider community that's out there. As we're saying, Marianne Williamson and other teachers as well. And there is, just to give it a larger context, you and I have been studying many different paths, in this lifetime. And, I have just, an increasingly clear understanding in my own mind, my friend, and I would like to hear your take on it. That the world is really going to be in great need of learning the things that we've been, practicing, and that the real awakening is yet to begin, for the wider world, and that we've been just so blessed to be so guided, supported, led, informed, inspired, transformed, etc. Does that ring true for you, to help the world prepare for these times?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I guess the course would teach us that everything we see is a reflection of our own consciousness and everyone we meet. So, we're constantly being shown unhealed parts of ourselves as well in what we're seeing outside. And so everything is that opportunity or that potential that I spoke about earlier, to return to love. So every time we see something and make something wrong, and the course invites us to make nothing wrong. So not to see the world as wrong, but to ask what's mine to do here, in whatever it is I'm seeing, and what's for me to know here.
Yeah.
And what's for me to heal. I don't, when I use the word heal, I know we're already healed. So, but what's for me to do in this illusion? What's my job in the moment? So I don't really look at the bigger picture, Lou, too much. To be honest with you, I kind of try and live in the day, but I do have a real sense of awakening in the world.
Yeah.
I have a sense of a bright path that's lighting up.
Hmm.
And I have a sense that I have some tools to navigate that path. I can't say I have them all. From being on calls with me in the morning that, I can have a shit day just as easily as
Of course.
anything else. And I can kind of have to think, what's going to help me here, and, what lesson can I apply? Um, and that's the beautiful thing about practicing the Course in Miracles. They work with lessons over and over. They start to jump out at you.
Yes.
And that there's nothing for me to defend here. If you find yourself in an argument with somebody, they start to just, drop in these beautiful nuggets of awareness.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm being really honest and transparent here. I don't think too much about the future of the world. I know that a happy ending is guaranteed. I know, that we're awakening into a new way of being and a whole new world.
Yeah.
Um, I know that in every fiber of my being, and I know I will have something to do there because we all will.
Yes. Yes.
We all will in some way or other.
Yeah. Yeah. uh, that I'll settle for that, Mia. That's gorgeous. That's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it's just incredible how all the pieces of the puzzle, of any problem or any challenge, or any pain or fear or loss or lack or whatever it might be, that the ego is, you know, got me distracted thinking this is reality for a few moments. The course and reading the course, and as you said on the calls many times today, for just taking that holy instant, to stop thinking I understand anything and go back to the boss, give my heart to God and Jesus one more time and surrender and see what changes. Wait for the change to come.
Yeah.
It always does.
And yeah, the course teaches us that, as long as we're in this body, we're going to stay in this illusion because the body itself is illusionary. And as long as we're here, moving through the world as we know it in this body, then our job is to, create as heavenly an experience as we can have whilst in the body.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I was talking about this yesterday or the day before. So we're refining and refining and refining and, coming closer to the knowing of the truth of who we be.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the refinement is coming through the life experiences, like literally, like moving through them with as much grace and sometimes with as much rage as you need to,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
to get that refinement. Um, and the course tells us that we can reach the lawns of heaven.
Yeah.
To me is just so beautiful. I can get so close to that in a body. And then the ultimate is death when
Hmm.
we drop this body.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like I think you spoke to that a little bit earlier, but it helps us to no longer fear this idea of death either.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
And the greatest illusion that and the only one that the Holy Spirit says we really need is forgiveness.
Right. Right.
Because in this world we need it. We
Yeah.
need to be able to forgive in order to know joy or to know peace, which is the lawns of heaven, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean it's an ocean. It's as deep as the ocean. It's vast and you can dive in anywhere and you'll be blessed by your exposure to it. And the more you swim in it, like your swim with Sinead this morning, the better it feels. And every time you're glad you did it, and it gives you something to take with you. Is the other thing I want to add to what you're saying there, or second, that you begin to realize you have things to draw on, and experiences. The more the awakening and the loving, forgiving, accepting, trusting, uh, surrendering, the more I do of that, the more easy it is for me to remember to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like we are, as you know, we're like trained monkeys. I mean, we come here and we experience a training, and
Mm-hmm.
until we get to the point we realize, oh my God, this isn't serving me, and I need to do something, and then what we need to do is undo. And it doesn't really matter what path you choose, to unravel. This is just one of them, and one that I happen to find really helpful and really enjoy sharing.
Yeah.
Really doesn't matter, but and that unraveling, of course, is uncomfortable because the blanket, even though it's an itchy blanket, is your blanket, and you've been wearing it for a long time, and
Yes.
it's itchy and you want to get it off, but it's like taking a plaster off.
Yes. Yes. Well, do you know, I have to share. There is a line in there, I think, which says, "This is a required course.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
you take it is optional, but because you have free will, doesn't mean you can set the agenda."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So it might not be this particular Course in Miracles, but the truth of
Of
it.
course.
Yes. Yes. See beyond
Yeah.
the illusion and to forgive and to love and to take responsibility and be joyous co-creators. And I love what you touched on earlier also. We do the prayer of the help me out, the prayer of the way
Miracle worker.
miracle worker. Yes, exactly. And I have that. We might finish up with that if we like. But I just
You do know that this is Maureen Muldoon's prayer. She wrote this.
know that's a question I've had on my mind for a while. So that's
Yeah.
great to be
Well, she will tell you Holy Spirit wrote it. It came through her. But yeah, this Maureen penned this prayer.
beautiful. Well,
Mm.
would you like to read it for us?
Yeah, I'd be very happy to read it for you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So I'll invite everybody to settle in their seats. And if you wish, you can gently close your eyes down. Let your sit bones nestle. Feel your feet kiss the earth. And then make your way into your heart center. You can listen to this through the ears of the heart. So today we begin by tucking our chins and bowing our heads, and knowing that God is all that there is and that we are one with it. We surrender all that we are to all God will have us be. We bow our heads, our hearts, our desires and agendas to God's will. We trust that God knows us and loves us as we make our way home to peace. We trust that we will see miracles where we once saw lack and limitations, and that we will be assisted in solutions where we once saw dead ends. We commit to remembering that we're immersed in God's holy ecstasy and audaciousness, where all things are possible, plentiful, and perfect. We give thanks for another day of miracles and miraculous encounters, and may we always remember that this grace is offered to us, not just for our own peace and joy, but so that we may be a fearless extension of God's love. And together, so we say, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I hope this will be one of a few more conversations you and I get to have together about the course, and thank you so much.
For sure, that would be delightful.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Well, you're very welcome. So we'll put the link to your reading of the course, and we'll let people know that July 22nd is the date to keep in mind, and we'll invite them to drop into Speakeasy and check out the other course resources there as well. Yeah,
for sure, for sure.
Beautiful. Well, I love you, darling. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Much. God bless.
All right, you too, Mia. God bless. Thanks a million.
Bye, Lou. Thank you.
Bye for now.